Hello, welcome back to my channel, Thrifty Day. On today's episode, I am going to be showing you a sneak peek into my new personal journal because as you can see, my current personal journal is packed to the gills. So this is probably one of my last layouts. And so I'm going to use it as sort of an inspiration board for my new personal journal that I started working on today. So in this video, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of my new journal that I started working on today. This is just the bones, as you can tell. Clearly, it's not been painted or covered or anything. But this picture that I'm holding right now is going to be the image that goes into that frame on the cover. And I'm going to be doing some paint swatches. I was very inspired with those little dresses that I showed. This one right here. These are Patreon exclusive ephemera that will be sent as happy mail to some of my, or many of my Patreon members. If you are interested in joining my Patreon, you can look in the description box because I have many different tiers, one of which is an ephemera tier. There's also an ephemera and journal tier, and you'll receive some of these little paper dresses on hangers this month. So I'm very excited. I'm showing sneak peeks everywhere on Patreon, here, Instagram. So be sure to follow me everywhere because it's all a little bit different. But my intention for today is to show you a little bit how I am inspired to create my own personal journal. And the first thing I'm going to do is use this scrap page. It's actually from one of the journals that I made as a sample for my Patreon exclusive journals this month. So if you stick around to the end of this video, you will see a total flip through of a couple samples I made of my Patreon exclusive journals. So I'm very excited about those. This was a scrap. How cute is that limey green floral print paper? It's very happy, and so it's the first thing I wanted to lay down for my layout here. Obviously, I made just a copy. I put it on sticker paper of the image that's going to go on the front. This is the paint I intend to use. I don't know which one exactly I'm going to use yet. So I do want to do some paint swatches as well to see which one I like. I'll probably end up mixing a combination of them. But this was another scrap from some of the cardstock that I used in the Patreon journals that I'll do flip throughs through at the end of this video. So this is really just an inspiration page. I want to get sort of in the mode of creating. I've found that when I do that, I'm very excited to just finish my journal, because sometimes I get in this like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Kind of a funk, like I get kind of stuck. So I find if I do a bit of a vision board in my journal, it really helps sort of facilitate my journey into my new personal journal. So that's what I'm doing here, and it totally worked, because now that this layout is done, I'm so excited to finish my new journal and to really add personal touches, and I'm very excited for it. So this little fabric I'm adding with PVA glue is just a scrap from the spine that I used to create sort of the bare bones of the journal. You won't be able to see the fabric, but since I cut it off, I didn't want to throw it in the trash. I thought I would just pop it right down onto the page. I did print out some of these old photos of my kiddos from Dapper Days in the past at Disneyland. This is one of my favorite pictures of Lizzie and Abby in front of the castle on Dapper Day. We had so much fun. So I just printed these out on my home printer. So it's just on cardstock. The printer I use is an Epson EcoTank. It was actually a gift recently from my daughter, Lizzie. I was overwhelmed with excitement because I've wanted one forever. I absolutely love it. I love the quality. So if you like even the way that picture looks just on cardstock, I would highly recommend grabbing a printer like that, because it has been such a wonderful product for me to use in my journaling process. So I just want to take a moment to apologize, because I think you can probably hear my dog walking in and out of the room and breathing really heavy behind me. So hopefully you just see that as like an added charm to my video, but I just wanted to go ahead and give an apology in general for the totality of this video, where you can probably hear Ellie as the starring heavy breather sitting next to me. Anyway, now I'm just going to add some twine, some pretty yellow decorative twine up to the top, because I want to add those sweet little paper dolls, the little hanging dresses. They're on little wire hangers. I love them. I've made, I think, probably 75 or so already. I have more to make. because I'm going to be sending them in my ephemera kits and in my journals this month on Patreon. So they're a Patreon exclusive this month. And so I've had such a good time making them. I thought, you know what, I should feature a few in my own personal journal, because the little paper doll dresses that I created are chosen specifically because they remind me of dresses that my daughters have worn before. So the little sailor one reminds me of Hannah, and the little Swiss dot one reminds me of one that Abby wore at a Dapper Day, and then the little floral print one also reminds me of one that Abby wore for a Dapper Day. So I just love it. I use some of this clear daisy print tape. I think I got that at Michael's. I can't remember now. And I just put that at the top, on top of the staples, just to give it a little decorative touch. And I had originally thought maybe adding a little tape would be a good idea, but I end up taking it off because it just gets in the way. So if you want to join the Patreon, be sure to check that description link below. I think I have so many really fun ideas for this month. And again, wait till the end if you want to see what the Patreon exclusive journals are. So now that I have those little hangers, and I just hang it on the little twine that I put at the top, I'm going to add just the tiniest bit of double stick tape to the back of each dress. Not enough to make it really stick firmly, just enough to make it stay in place, and so that I can also remove it whenever I want to. I was looking at these pictures and I just feel like it was yesterday, but this is now years ago. We started going to Dapper Day, 5 or 6 years ago, I think. And we haven't been in the past couple years. I think we stopped going, obviously, because of COVID when everybody stopped. But we actually haven't been back. Just life has been a bit frenzied. And but looking at these pictures just made me very, very happy. And it was always fun to wear vintage clothes, and the girls loved vintage accessories, and it was just a really fun time that we got to share together. So even if we don't ever get to do it again in the future because of time or other reasons, I will always cherish these memories, and I will look back so fondly of these times that we got to spend together. I'm just going through the layout now and adding some finishing touches. I'll be adding my journaling mostly off camera, but one of the last things I want to do is I want to add some paint swatches. And the reason I want to do this is because once they dry, paint tends to dry slightly different than when it's wet. The color varies the tiniest bit. So if I do a little swatch, once this dries, I'll be able to see which color I like best next to the image that's going to go into the frame of my new journal. So the reality is I'll probably end up mixing colors, but this is nice just to see what they look like in their original form once they're dried. So here's a peek at my completed layout. It was such a wonderful time for me just to take a moment to spend with my journal and to look forward to creating my new personal journal. I love how important journaling is for your mental health, and I think that for me, it's been an absolute life-changing hobby. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also leave a comment. All of the engagement really helps boost my videos, and I appreciate it so much. The next and final part of this video is going to be a flip through of a couple of my Patreon exclusive journals. These are just two of the samples of the journals that I will have in my collection for Patreon this month. They measure about 9 inches tall and about 6 inches across, and they come with an elastic lace band to keep them closed. They were so fun to make, and as you can see, they are absolutely kitschy and retro and nostalgic. They are soft cover, and on the front, each will feature a vintage playing card. And inside, I used many vintage papers, dyed paper, double-sided cardstock. I also made pockets out of vintage fabric. The journal itself is also covered in vintage fabric. And I used lots of vintage tabs and paper products to make it look even more kitschy. I think that's the name of the game this month over on Patreon, kitschy. There's a really fun fabric sort of creator theme this month. The ephemera pack and the pen pal mail and the journals will all reflect that. They all also do have metal corners, and inside is a little image of a vintage pattern. There's one of those pockets I was telling you about. So every tier on my Patreon does receive Happy Mail. So you can look at the link in the description box. You can head over to my Patreon and you can look over all the tiers and see if one works for you. They start at $5 a month. And so if you like this journal, be sure to join us over there. It's a really fun little community. There's also exclusive tutorials and content. And I hope you like what you see. I would love your feedback. And I'm also going to show you another journal that is totally complete and filled just for reference. This was my Christmas journal. If you wanted to see the complete flip through, you can do that here on YouTube. But this is the exact size and the exact number of pages. And so I know they look really thin right now, but they have a lot of potential to really bulk up. They get really heavy and nice and full, and they have lots of character. So thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. I hope everyone has a great week, and I will see you next time.